Hello, friends. It is Saturday, November 22nd, 2025. We're at 778 days from the attacks by Hamas on October 7th. One of the things that I was told about when I was traveling in Jerusalem and I had some meetings in Israel is about a show that's on Paramount Plus that's called Red Alert. That's actually a TV show that tells the story a bit of the attacks of October 7th. I just wanted to call that to your attention if you'd not heard about it. There are so many films that help us to better understand, even if they're coming from different perspectives. I'd encourage you to take a look at that. No Other Land is a documentary that I would really encourage you to take a look at. That's the one that won the Oscar for Best Documentary last year. The news in the last 48 hours has been deeply, deeply discouraging, with increased attacks and bombing and death tolls in the dozens. The death toll from Israeli military attacks has risen to 18 in the last 24 hours. This is a spate of Israeli drone and missile attacks throughout the north and central Gaza. The IDF said on Saturday that an armed terrorist crossed the yellow line, exploiting the humanitarian road in the area through which humanitarian aid has entered into South Gaza. They said that the militants fired at IDF soldiers who were deployed in the south of the Gaza Strip. The IDF soldiers killed the assailant. So initially, when I had done this report, the death toll was at 14. It's increased to 18. There was one strike that targeted a vehicle. It killed 7 people. It wounded 14 Palestinians. That was near the Ramal neighborhood. So said the managing director of the Shifa hospital. That's where the casualties went after the incidents. It's reported that the majority of those wounded were children, according to the managing director of that hospital. Another strike targeted a house in Al Awada Hospital district, where at least 3 people were killed, 11 others were wounded. And then in the Nusrat refugee camp in central Gaza, 1 child was killed and 16 others were wounded. There was a strike that targeted a house in Deir al-Balah in central Gaza. 3 people were killed, including a woman. These reports now have been coming in from the hospitals where the dead and the wounded are taken after incidents. The Israeli military said a gunman had crossed into Israeli-controlled territory and had exploited the humanitarian road. So that was significantly, there were many, many reports in the news about those numerous incidents and the number of killed in Gaza. So this makes the second day in a row of intensive bombing in the Gaza Strip. We do know that since the ceasefire took effect on October 10th, at least 67 children have been killed. That's according to UNICEF. Things in the occupied West Bank have not been any better. There have been continued settler attacks. Settlers actually poisoned a Palestinian's flock in the West Bank, according to reports. This was near Al Mughayr. According to updates, a flock of sheep from that West Bank village were poisoned. 3 died. They were belonging to a local Palestinian shepherd, and they were found at the scene. A local veterinarian is continuing to monitor the condition of the rest of the flock. The Palestinian Ministry of Health yesterday reported that Israeli forces killed 2 teenagers in Kfar Akab, a Palestinian neighborhood in East Jerusalem. When I was in Israel, in Nazareth this past week, which is the largest Palestinian city in the state of Israel, one of the things that we talked about is what are the greatest challenge for Palestinian citizens of the state, or Arab Israelis, as many of them self-identify, 48 Palestinians, because they remained in Israel after 1948. And what they said was that Arab on Arab crime, Palestinian on Palestinian crime, is one of the greatest issues that is plaguing Palestinian society in the state of Israel. And they believe that it is being fostered and encouraged by the Israeli security establishment. This is actually what we see happening in Gaza as well. There are Palestinian families that are supported by the Israeli military that are on the Israeli side of the yellow line in Gaza. And this is happening significantly in Israel. So there was legislation to address this issue. So Israel's Deputy Attorney General warned that the government is failing to act against crime in the Arab community and that they're stalling key legislation that would bolster law enforcement efforts in these areas. In a sharply worded letter that was sent to the Deputy Attorney General, the Deputy Attorney General sent it to the head of the Prime Minister's office for the Task Force on Crime and Violence in Arab Society with the warning that said the strategic threat posed by major crime in general and crime in the Arab community in particular is extremely severe. In 2025, since the beginning of the year, 226 people have been killed from the Arab community in Israel. This is a record number in past years. In Lebanon, the IDF announced today that they struck several Hezbollah launchers that were recently identified as military sites in Lebanon. Those were largely in the Bekaa Valley. And the IDF said they killed a Hezbollah operative in a targeted strike in the south of Lebanon yesterday. Lebanese reports indicated that the Israeli Air Force also attacked areas in other parts of the country. An analyst from Haaretz newspaper today indicated as Israel is preparing for multiple fronts of war, they're calling it multi-front wars of attrition, the IDF is facing a manpower crunch and spiraling costs. There's uncertainty and instability in the region, and this is demanding a rapid recovery from the IDF, which hasn't really even started. The most acute crisis for the Israeli military is manpower. This week, the Knesset informed 600 career officers have requested early retirement. This reflects a much broader trend across units and directorates, driven in large part by the harsh experiences of recent war. In terms of the international community, India's biggest Islamic group has asked their chief to resign over an invitation to a pro-Israeli leader. So the Islamic organization is called Nahdlatul Ulama. This is one of the largest Islamic organizations in the world. They asked their chief to resign for inviting a U.S. scholar who is known to support Israel during the war on Gaza to an internal event in August. The leadership of NU, which is actually the largest Islamic organization in the world. It has 100 million members and affiliates. And they gave their chairman, Stakuf is his name, 3 days to offer his resignation or he will be removed from the post. In the US, President Trump has touted a real peace in the Middle East. He's hinting at a phase 2 in terms of the Gaza deal. He said this on Fox News Radio. He said, we're going to see. Let's take a look at Hamas and what they do. We've just started this process. Very interestingly, New York Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani met with President Trump at the White House. He reiterated his highly scrutinized position that U.S. taxpayer funds should not aid Israeli violations of human rights. Mamdani said that he spoke about the Israeli government committing genocide and our government funding it. I'm also not sure if you've seen, but Marjorie Taylor Greene has announced she's resigning. Last week, President Trump withdrew his support from her, accusing the Georgia Republican of having turned sharply left. And on November 20th, 2025, Churches for Middle East Peace held an online vigil I wanted to call your attention to. It was really beautiful and powerful. This was for our Let Children Live campaign. We gathered Christians to focus on praying for Palestinian children. There's a video, if you watch our event, you can see a video of children from the Ramallah Friends School, and the president of the principal of Ramallah Friends School also led one of the prayers, and you can hear these Palestinian children saying what they want you to be praying for. I encourage you to watch that. Rania Maya is the principal of the Ramallah Friends School. There were heads of communion, Shane Claiborne, Bill Forbes of World Vision joined us, Archbishop Elpidophoros of the Greek Orthodox Church. And so that video can be viewed on Churches for Middle East Peace's website. May God go before us towards peace, and may peace come quickly in the name of Christ. Amen.